Balance, balance, balance. Everything is fine. We're good. Sluggos have to be in the weirdest place. But guys, welcome. Welcome to a brand new Satisfactory video. And last time, we built this. This was a little intersection for the quartz that was getting picked up from the, well, the north side of the desert. But today, I'm going to get this and turn it into this. Alright, so as you can see, a lot has been done in this section, and I'm just going to give you a bit of a pre-warning. This right now is a little bit more advanced than in the Let's Play we already are, because in this system, we're actually bringing in extra limestone. Well, we are bringing in limestone, not extra. We're also bringing in coal, and we're also bringing in the iron now as well. So this electronics factory is starting to become more of a main factory, but it's not going to because I don't want it to. But I really love this whole intersection here. And the reason I wanted to do this video, because this one was meant to be due in like 2 weeks-ish, and there's going to be another video out. So I'm not going to take you over to the electronics plant because there's quite a bit of progress that has happened over there in regards to production. That's including quick wire, copper, all this kind of stuff. And I wanted to kind of show you this because a lot of people are asking in regards to stuff regarding trains. So you could have joined the YouTube live stream, the Twitch live stream, and you would have seen this and you'd be like, wait, how did you do this? Well, today's video hopefully explains all of that. So as we know, we have the main highway, which if I just pull out my tool, you can kind of see what was initially part of the highway, which is just this section right here. All of this has been added manually on the live streams, of course. So if you want to see all of them, go over to my YouTube channel, which more than likely you are on my YouTube channel right now, and live tab, and you can actually see me build all of this minute by minute and what by what. But anyway, so you can see the initial blueprint right here. This is where we kind of started with, and I've just kind of expanded on where we need to do. The first thing I always do is I always go and build the train station first. So I already knew I wanted the trains to come off the highway into a station. So the first point of, my planning phase is I'll first look where I want to put the station and look where my ores are coming from. So I'm bringing them literally from over in different locations over here and shipping them over here, because I feel like it looks a lot better when the station is next to the highway and it branches off. So the first question is where do you normally pull off your train lines to expand that? Well, if we head this way, I'm still traveling over this way, don't worry. So, as you know, this is the first one I built. But the first turn off I actually built, I always build it off from the turn or curve itself. And in doing so, it allows just to be nice and smooth. So, if I just go back here, don't mind me if there's any form of train catastrophes that happen. It's fine. This is a different autosave. But what I always do, normally this track would not have been here, and this would have been just a smooth turn going along here, right? So the first thing I do is before I go into the turn, I find the straight of the foundation underneath. So if we look at the foundation here, we can see that goes straight on right here. And the first thing I did was I went underneath and I got and looked where the straight is, and we can kind of see it here. So I just grabbed it and I just zooped that going forward, and then I found out where it was, because this curve was already curving that way anyway. So then foundation should be there. But with me doing this now, I've now created that straight piece of track there to now be allowed to go along here. And the next thing I did was I just got a piece of track, piece of foundation, and extended it one to the right of this highway. And in doing so, it allowed me to create another passage. But because I'm bringing it from the corner, it's so simple now just for me to place the straight down here. So my rule of thumb is always build the straight part of the tracks first. Do not build from the turn, for example, let me click there, and then build it this way and then try to angle it. The reason you don't want to do this is because you might place it, let's say, here. Next thing you know, you're wondering why your straights are a little bit wobbly or a bit wiggly. So always build your straights first and then build your turn, because once you've got your straights done, it's all it is just simply snapping that in there, and it just entered me into fly mode, which I didn't want to do. You can see that is now a smooth turn. Sometimes you might have to just adjust where that straight is. You might have to push it back, or forward and whatnot. And then everything else comes to order. But what makes this sync well with each other is normally, if we go over here, we can kind of see how the track here as a fence, this as a barrier to separate the two tracks, and then this is a barrier again to split this central bit. So I kind of keep it, if there is a track next to each other, like this one and this one, I put a road barrier between. So normally this would have had this fence going along here. So I swapped it out and replaced it for the road barrier. So because there's a track here, and a track here. So it kind of creates a form of unison and creates like a, you know, kind of like a train highway as you would expect it if you was to go to a train yard. Don't worry, I'm not I'm no architect, I'm no train guru. I just do what I do and I build what I build as a gamer. So it just kind of naturally comes to me for some reason. I've got a very creative mind, you could say. So then I kind of make my way down here, and I knew the quartz was here, of course. So I thought, okay, let's just put the station up here. We already had the foundation led down for this straight, so I just continued this and built this station here. And in doing so, it allowed me just to quickly, you know, bring the quartz up here into the storage and then into this. But because I'm filling at 480 per minute, I want to maximize my belts. So each of these freight cars, and this goes for every single train you can see, it is 480 going into a carriage. But also it allows me, with the way I've done it, is to expand to the faster belts when need be later on as well. So right now we can see that this is a Mark II. Eventually this will go to a Mark III, and these will go to Mark IV belts, and then this can eventually go to, you know, a Mark V, and so on and so forth. Well, Mark VI even as well. And it just allows me to expand a lot easier. Then what I want to do as well is I want to make sure initially that no tracks are hardly ever, you know, crossing at the same time. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of stoppages and it's just going to cause problems. So as often as possible, if you need to get your train from one side of the track to the other, do not take it through the tracks. Take it up and over. It's probably the easiest and it's the safest thing for your trains to do. So what I normally do is I usually build a rail line that comes out of 1.5, and then I take it up. I usually get a 1 meter foundation, and I usually roughly take it up around 15 ramps. So 15 ramps upwards, and once I get up here, I always place one foundation at the top, which covers this section here so the train can bend back over, and I then take this rail to the end of the foundation. Once I've done that, if I want to do a 90-degree turn, I can do, because all I need to do is put one foundation down, 2, 3, because as you know, to make a 90-degree turn, you need 3 foundations forward and 3 foundations to the left or right, and that allows you to create a 90-degree turn like you can see here. This then comes along here, and as you can see, another 90-degree turn. And then initially, this is where we kind of started and took it back. And I took this back and I bent it all the way back, all the way down here. So the reason I did not want to turn this track on immediately onto here is just because when we are bringing trains back onto the same line, sometimes they will stop for another train to pass through. And it does happen quite a lot on this section right here. So in the future, this train line coming here might get additionally just going all the way around here just for the, you know, the benefit of these trains not stopping at these signals right here. So that might be something we do later on. But as you can see, I've just turned it in here. So instead of me now turning this onto this straight, which would have been easier, I wanted to be a little bit smoother with it, and I connected the train line from here to around the corner. So as you know, this is the turn of the highway, and this right here is the turn of the highway coming in. So I just got this, but I connected it to the other end of the straight. So this is the straight, and there's the bend right there, and this is where I connected it to. And I always make sure I put a signal at the start of the turn and the end of the turn. A lot of people have also asked, why do I always put the signals so close together? Why do you need so many? Well, as you know, from this section alone, there is a lot of congestion. I say congestion, there's a lot of traffic. So when a train passes through, we can see he's going to go through here. It's now blocked because he's going through. It's now back green. That one is going to go back green in a minute. So if this signal was not here and this signal was not here, that means if I was to pull out a signal, this red train line right here would extend all the way around the corner, all the way over to this signal right here, which means if there's a train in here, he's going to be in here for quite a bit. So if there's a train coming down, he's going to be sat here waiting until this red section gets emptied. So if this block signal right here, I'm going to remove them just for the sake of it, was not there, you can see how much this red signal now comes along here, right? For some reason, this one's red as well. I think it's just because of the amount of signals I've got here. So this should originally be a different color because this block is working. So this red goes all the way around here. But if we put, you know, more signals, we can kind of see the separation of colors. And in doing so, it allows the trains to pass through, and the train behind the train that's going forward will keep moving. So I'm just wondering if we can try and get, or wait for it to happen, but it could take a while for a train to come through here. But we can kind of see, look, this is red, this is red, this is green, this is green, this is green. So it's allowing the train that's behind it just to kind of keep pace. Yeah, it might slow down in places, but you can kind of see just with the distance over here, when a train is entering this signal, how long it takes for this signal to go green again. So minimizing the space is very beneficial for highly, you know, traffic routes. You could put more. It reduces congestion and it reduces the trains. I think I'm making sense. I think. So the next thing is, normally these aren't here, right? So I'm just going to go and show you the instance of what this looks like without these barriers here, or these beams. It looks like a big empty gap, like so. So now it just doesn't look right. So when I was just coming through here, I was like, what can we put in here that would, you know, fill this kind of gap? And that's when I was like, why don't we try beams? Because as we know, if you remember in maths class, do you remember? I forgot what they're called. I was never good in school. But do you remember them little things you could put your pen in and then you used to spin it around and it used to make weird circles and stuff? I totally forgot what it's called. Someone will let me know in the comments. But once you get the painted beams, it kind of does the same thing. So think of these over each individual lines. And when you connect it to corners and ramps and everything, the higher the ramp, the steeper it's going to get. And it creates this kind of like look to it. So it's kind of come my little unique style, and a lot of people have noticing this is my save now because of this stuff, right? And I've just kind of done it in every little bit of the gaps. So if these wasn't over here like this, it would just be an empty gap all the way along here, and it just doesn't look right. It helps, you know, it looks aesthetically pleasing to keep this connected to this one, and so on. Like most of you would agree. Yeah, I could also even once, if I want to, put down some structural supports here and kind of do that. But then if you've got these here, it kind of fills that same purpose as well. Yes, it is tedious, and yes, you can use blueprints to create these. The only problem is, because a lot of people have been asking, Bitz, why didn't, instead of doing this one by one, going down this and spending half an hour doing it, why do you not just create a blueprint? Well, as good as that sounds, think of how tedious it's going to be and how, like, it's going to be, there's going to be this way too many variables. How can I blueprint something that's going this way and then blueprinting it as it goes smaller and smaller and on a different angle every single time? It's just going to be very tedious. I can highly understand if it's going to be the same height, same distance all the way, for example, like this one, but with this one, it's got way too many variables. So yeah, it's kind of, and I kind of like building. You should know this by now. And I just started connecting everything back up. So originally, all this was not here. All of this side was not here. It was just this central, this coming through here, and this is the quartz line. Originally, this bridge over here was accidentally built by accident because this quartz train was going to come up here. It was only going to collect one locomotive or one freight car full of quartz, and then it comes up here, and it was initially going to do a left. But then I was like, wait, I need more quartz. So I was like, okay, let's go and just take this train down, back down here, so I took it over the ramp. But it's a good job I did because it aesthetically pleases my brain when I can fit the coal and limestone going through this little bridge here towards these. So when you make an accident, sometimes it does work out for the better. So this quartz line now does not, you know, get in the way of this one or injects itself onto the line to cause more traffic. So that was all by accidental, but it just works out. The next thing is I kind of brought it down and I took it around the ramp, and I wanted to get it as close as possible to this rail. And doing so, I used my curve method, which I've showed many times on the channel now. There's multiple ways of doing curves. There's easier way of doing curves. If you look through any of my Satisfactory videos, you'll see them. There's also a way to align them. So what I'm going to do is in the description, I'm going to put multiple links that will take you to my Twitch clips. This will be how to align two different world grid foundations. So if you're building on the world grid, but then you want to build a curve and go off it, it will actually be a link that will show you how to connect them two together. There will also be a link on how to do my curves, the way I do kind of do the curves, right? There is multiple ways of doing curves, but I'm going to show you the way I do it because you guys are asking on how I make things good, and that's what I'm doing. I'm just using that method. I've obviously got this to come back onto here, and again, we have now put a signal just before it turns on and a signal when it, you know, comes back onto here, and then this line connects up to here. There's not much congestion here, and you don't really see the trains really stop here as much. The next thing I did was then, okay, I needed limestone, and I also needed some coal. So I need the limestone for another project I'm not going to tell you about because that will be in the next Satisfactory video. I wasn't going to make this video until like 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks from now, but because, like I said at the start of the video, what I built over there now is a lot further on than what you saw in the previous video. But this right here, well, you know, it's a bit of a, you know, a hit or miss. So when I talk about this in the video coming up, I won't talk about this as much as what I'm doing now because I'm just basically answering your questions that you're asking in regards to junctions turning off and turning on. So again, do not take tracks from, you know, one side straight through over here. So for example, taking that there over to through this track, because if you think about it, that's going to stop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trains if one train's passing through there, and you don't want that. Take it up and above. Take it under if you need to as well. So when I was originally building this, I actually built this today on the Twitch stream. So the latest the latest YouTube VOD in the live category will be building all of this over here. So I built this and I put this down and I was like, okay, how do I want to take this? So I was like, let's just take it back over. So this was the limestone. I was initially going to try and get this train to come out of here and connect up to this one, and I was going to bring a rail along here to then turn onto this one right here. But I thought, why not? Why? I'm not going to do that because there is a big gap right here, and I thought there's a bridge at that end, there's a bridge at that end, let's put a bridge in the middle. Let's just see what it looks like, because science, we like to science things in this channel. So then I decided again to take it up to the same height. What I did is I used this grid as a reference. I got this foundation right here and I just took it across like that from here to there. I then got this foundation and I just took it along here, and then I went down to this train station that I'm flying too fast, and I just decided to go, you know, put a normal foundation down, and I take it 1.5, and then I go up by 15 until the foundation's met, and I then turn that onto there and got it connected up. And then this created this one long rail network here, so I had to put signals down, and it looks pretty cool when you're going across here on a train. You can see the other ones coming down below and all that kind of stuff. But again, make sure that you're keeping your signals at a decent pace, and if you are getting like high traffic, for example, if I just jump on this train, if I'm gonna miss it, never mind, let me come back, let me jump out of fly mode, land. So yeah, just so you guys are aware, I do build everything vanilla. When it comes to YouTube videos and me showcasing stuff, I do fly around like you can see me doing now, right? So this is a good example because there's a train right here and a train right here. This train is now going to lead for these signals. So we're just going to jump back and we're going to jump onto this train. We can already see this train is now slowing down because it knows this train is here. But you can see the trains flicking to green every second, which is allowing this train to go, yes, we can go forward at full speed. And we can kind of see this one's still green, this one's green, that one's now red, so we might slow down at some point. And doing this, just sit on your train like what I'm doing right now, and if you feel like you need to put a signal down, just grab a signal, sit on your train, and work smarter, not harder. And just aim at the track and place. Aim at the track, place. You don't have to keep flying around or using your hover pack. Just get a train, set it up on a loop, and just sit here and hold a signal in front of the train. And, you know, you can just place a signal. Like, for example, here, there might be a good gap here I can place one. Or if I go around the corner and so forth. You know what I mean? I'll place you there. Let's place you there. But because he was about to go through that signal, I kind of borked him. So, yeah, don't place a signal when he's about to go through a signal, because that kind of happens. So the way you've got to think about this is everything that has been built here has been built in sections. I started from this side and I built this one. And I just kind of took that over, and I was like, what are these empty gaps? Let's just fill it with beams. So I did. And then I went from there and I was like, you know what? We need some more stuff. So I was like, okay, I need coal. So I then built that coal one down there. And because, as we know, there's quite a bit of coal over here. We have 2 pure nodes right there. We also have some normal nodes over here inside that little crater. And then when I come to today in the live stream, I was like, I need some limestone now because I need some encased industrial beams. So I decided to then build this one here and took this over, and everything just starts to come together. You've just got to allow it and don't overthink things, because a lot of people think I plan things. I actually don't. It's more my subconscious does, if that makes sense. I've got many hours in the game, so it's kind of like it's hard to explain it. But when I'm building, it just kind of comes to me, but I don't realize it does. It's very hard for me to explain what that means. But hopefully you know what it means. So where I'm going to take this in the future, who knows? All I know is that I might end up adding maybe a second line up here. I might end up adding another line in the middle. But what I am starting to see now, especially with my current time, because right now this is up to date as of, what date is it today? It's the 15th. So I was last working on this section on the 15th. So what you're seeing now is current present day. But what you're going to see in the next video is a little bit behind. So when we go into the next video, you're not going to see all of this built, because I kind of do it in that video. So I'm starting to become Marvel. Just expect different realms and voids that we might be going through in this next video. So just be careful about that. Little heads up. But like I said, I might end up taking this rail that's on the outside and not merging it with this one. And because I might end up taking it around, and who knows, it might go elsewhere later on the line. But a lot of you are asking, Bitz, what are you going to do with the middle line? Well, I did kind of briefly touch on it earlier, and that is if I'm taking a train from the blue crater, which is where my turbo fuel plant is, and I'm bringing it all the way around, and it's going to come this way, and it's going to bypass the electronics plant. It's then going to go over to the Rocky Desert, or the not what the coast is, the Golden Coast. That's what it was. I knew what it was, but my brain couldn't spit it out. So the Golden Coast is on the far western side of the map. So what I will do is, if I'm bringing a train from over there to over here, I might end up forcing a train to come onto this line. And doing so is by connecting the train station at one end to go onto this middle line. Another way I could do this, and this is only a temporary solution until we potentially get train waypoint signals. And what I mean by them is where we can place, let's say, a signal down on this track right here. What this signal does, does it look like this? It might have like a sign here, and we can name it. We can go into it like this, and what we can do is we can type in let's say North Desert Signal, for example, right? And once you go into this, it allows a train to utilize it as a path signal, or not path signal, a waypoint signal. So when you tell a train, or you're setting up your train route, you can go, I want you to go from this station, I want you to come along here, and I want you to forcefully go on to a track, let's say, that I connect from there to over here, and it doesn't turn that way. And I was to put a signal down there, and I want you to go there. Why? Because it allows me to force a train onto a specific train line, and in doing so, it will help with congestion. It will also help with, for example, here, let's say I've got a train coming down here, and I force it with a waypoint signal onto this track. Why? Because as we know, down that side of the track over here, if we just speed up, we already know that this train is going to merge onto this track here. So who knows, we might want to get this track that comes along here and tell the trains to quickly switch over by placing a waypoint signal here. And in doing so, it allows this train to constantly keep moving, this one to keep moving, and then maybe down here, this train might turn off earlier, so we can bring this train that's on the middle line back onto this outside rail. So that's the main premise of a waypoint signal, and hopefully, praise to God, we eventually get them. Right, so I'm going to love you and leave you there, because I think majority of the things I've actually covered. Where I place the train stuff, the foundations, the gridded. I would also leave the links in the description if you want to find out how to do a curve, if you want to do align two grids together, and all that kind of good stuff. Be aware they are part of the Twitch clips. You don't have to be signed in to watch them. You can just watch them there and then. Just give it a little click and whatnot. Depending on the outcome of that, I might do a dedicated video on curves, alignment, and all that kind of good stuff also. Maybe I should just do that. That might be the easiest thing. But if you're at this part of the video, please give me a big thumbs up. You've obviously watched it all the way through, and I very, very much appreciate you. So thank you so much for watching, and as always, keep smiling, and I'll see you in another Satisfactory video. What just happened to my voice right there? Did I just squeak? Anyway, much love. See you in the next video.